What's going on, guys? So I wanted to make this video to show you 3 of my favorite stretches that I do the night before I squat. So I usually squat at the moment in the mornings, so I'll do this about 12 hours before. You can also do these stretches like if you're going to train at night, you could do them in the morning. So you give yourself adequate time to, I don't want to say recover, but you just don't want to do static stretching or any kind of mobility stuff right before you train. I know a lot of people are really on board mobility and things like that right now, but spending like 15-30 minutes of static stretching right before your workout can actually be detrimental. So I do recommend doing mobility stuff, just kind of separate it from your workout. You could do it like the night before like I do, or post-workout's another good time when your muscles are kind of warm. So I want to show you my 3 stretches here. Another important thing I want to always make sure people are understanding is that they're doing this for a purpose. You're not just like picking out 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever stretches and not understanding why I'm stretching my shoulder here or my knee here or whatever. It needs to be quantifiable as far as how that's going to help you with a squat, with a deadlift, whatever. So the test and the retest is something that's really important here. So before I do each mobility move, and then after I do it, I'm going to do a few sets of squats, kind of explain what the movement's going to actually work on, and then see if there's any kind of difference after I test. So again, this is a telltale sign. Well, maybe if you don't have tight ankles, so spending 5 minutes on an ankle stretch probably isn't going to do anything for your squat. Maybe it's your hip, maybe it's your knee. So actually doing a test and retest can be beneficial to see if that muscle group or if that area is in need of mobilization. So right now I am completely not warmed up at all. So what I'm going to do right here is just do some squats. I'll get a few different angles here. So again, my problem areas are definitely my calves, soleus, kind of ankle areas. Another problem which I'm not working on tonight is kind of my thoracic. I kind of have that douchebag shoulder around this, so you always want to kind of be more open here. I do some thoracic stuff like actually right before I squat. But that's kind of my 2 main problems. So right now I'm not warmed up at all. Again, just some general squat techniques. Always remember to kind of screw your feet into the ground, and then I'll lift up my shorts. I always want to kind of kick my knees out, and one of the movements that you'll do for that is also an external rotation. So I'm here, kicking my knees out. You see I'm really pretty much compromised. My back's fully rounded. Not very good position. So I'll do a few more here, kind of just having my arms out forward, see where I'm at. That second squat's just a little bit better, but you definitely see these aren't pretty by any means. I can already tell it's mainly because of my ankles, but the first movement I'll do is the couch stretch that works my hip flexors. So we'll get right into this first movement. I recommend to hit this for about 2 to 3 minutes. So you'll start here. You can do this against a wall. I have a couch here. It's pretty convenient. It's called a couch stretch. So just start with whichever leg. I usually recommend starting on the leg that's not as hard. So I'll start here with my left leg. Again, you just want to kind of pin this foot. This is kind of perfect height, which is why I use it. Pin this foot up against here, and then kick this knee straight as back as you can. So again, that's why a wall is really nice, because you can't cheat. So you want your shin pretty much as vertical as possible. That's the goal. So if you're really tight like I was the day 1 doing this, just doing this will probably just murder your quad. So this may be enough for you, just sitting like this. And then if you can do that, what I'll recommend is getting your other knee up kind of in a lunge position. So you want to kick it up through here. So that's kind of step 2. And again, this took me at least a week to try to get over just being here. So this may be enough for you if you have really tight hip flexors. And then this one right here, getting something like a chair or this ottoman to kind of press up on. This is definitely like level kind of 3. This is pretty much good for me. If this doesn't feel like enough, you can also just try to stand up completely, which I'm borderline being able to do right now. That's kind of the maximum stretch you can do here. So I'm going to sit in this for 2 minutes, guys, 2 to 3 minutes, do the other leg, and then I'll be back with a test and retest. Alright, so I just finished the 2 to 3 minutes on both of my legs for the couch stretch. So again, the thing you want to do is always test and retest, see if it actually helps. So Again, I don't expect my thoracic kind of rounding to be any better, but we'll see if I kind of have any better mobilization on my hips and my ankles here. So again, arms pretty much straight out, come through, and that feels a little bit better to me. It may not look a great deal better. Like I said, my ankles are the big movement that's going to be limiting me, but I feel as far as hips, I'm able to externally rotate a little bit more. So again, thoracic, still pretty bad, but it looks like the hips are quite a bit better from that 2 to 3 minutes in couch stretch. So again, that is really going to help your hip flexor if you're really tight. Most people have really tight hip flexors, they don't even really know it. I was definitely one of those. So give the couch stretch a shot, regardless if you think you have tight hip flexors or not. If it's not that hard for you, then probably don't need to do it, like most things, but I would say, again, most people are going to have that issue. So the second movement we're going to get into is kind of my bread and butter for my really, really tight calves. So most people have probably done this type of stretch where you just kind of grab a wall and you'll press down and put kind of stress on that back leg. The band, this is probably if you have like an elite FTS band, like an average, it's a pretty big band here. The band just kind of accentuates that, so it makes it harder. So what I'll recommend for people to do is do a minute diagonal, do a minute vertical, and then a minute the other way. So again, this is kind of a distraction here. This is the ankle's actually going to be working. I'll press here, and then again, just kind of bend this leg, and there's just a ton of kind of force back here on my Achilles. And again, I want to just kind of sit in here for about 1 to 2 minutes, because you're going to do it about 3 different angles. So again, I won't do the whole 1 or 2 minutes here, but again, this is something else you can kind of like contract and relax on your Achilles there. And again, you're just working on your plantar flexion, so in your squat, you can get further out. And this one, you'll actually see a pretty big difference as far as my test and retest from just a minute ago. So again, a minute or two there, then I rotate, and this is a money one. If you can really get a hold of something, kind of like a wall, or even something like this, and press down even further. So again, I'd probably say this is the most important of the 3 here. Spend a minute or 2 in, and then again, the last one, so you get a distraction from each direction, so you have to fight it from taking you that way. Again, here, kind of think about kicking your knee out as well for a minute or 2. So I'm going to do that on both of my legs, guys, and I'll come back with my second test and retest on my squat. So I just finished my second stretch, the calf mobilization that I did. Like I said, the calf, ankle, Achilles tendon all kind of tie in for me. Really, really tight. So this one is kind of always a necessity for me. I wish I actually would have done one ankle and not done the other to see how much different plantar flexion there would be. This one, again, from the side, you really can see now my plantar flexion, I have a lot more kind of flexibility here. So again, I can just do that, and it feels so much better from just a minute or 2 ago. Just depth. I can just kind of hit depth here. Again, ankle is still a problem for me, but if you go back and review kind of my first squats after not doing anything, now they are much easier to get in position with. So I don't think I'm ever going to have like healthy enough ankles to do like pistols and stuff with, just from playing basketball for so long, just kind of rolling the ankles and all of those things. But a combination of squat shoes and also just hammering away at the ankle stuff has done wonders for my ankle mobility. So the last one I'll do, this is for external rotation of the hip, which is really important for your squat. So another kind of, all of these stretches I've gotten from Kelly Starrett. If you haven't heard of him by now, you probably should. So I'll post a link to his book and YouTube channel, Mobility WOD, in the description box. So again, I'm using the Pro Average. I think this is probably equivalent here. What I'm going to do here is just wrap this band around my back and then right below my knees here. So again, you kind of have like accommodating resistance, making you spread, and then just find a wall and try to get your butt as close as humanly possible up against this wall. So again, from here, another good stretch you can do is just kind of getting wide here and just kind of pressing out. I don't really do that too much for external rotation, but what I will do is put this foot as low as I can, my left foot,
and then just cross this one over and just try to sit down in this. So ideally, you can actually see my hip off the ground here. You actually, if you were really flexible in this position, you'd be able to have your hip on the ground. So again, the band's kind of forcing you down, and this is another good one where you can do is kind of contract, relax in and out of this a little bit more. So again, 2 to 3 minutes per leg, and just try to get a little bit deeper here. Again, this will help with the external rotation of your squat. So I'm going to sit in this comfortable position for 2 to 3 minutes, switch legs, and we'll be back with the final test and retest in a few minutes, guys, so stick around. Alright guys, so I just finished my external rotation with the band, about 2 to 3 minutes on each leg. Now I'm going to do the final kind of test and retest for my squat. So again, compare these, go back and rewind the video, compare these two before I did any kind of mobilization. So it's only about a total of 10 to 15 minutes of stretching here the night before I squat, see if there's any kind of big difference. So again, always want to think about screwing your feet in, external rotation, coming here, big breath, and that's pretty much good. Again, I really want to work on some thoracic stuff, but even my thoracic is kind of a little bit better from just being able to kick my knees out a little bit more, and hitting depth isn't really a problem. Again, it's just kind of barefoot with no weight on my back. So anyone who squatted before knows that it helps a little bit with squat shoes and also with some weight on your back. So if you can squat barefooted with nothing, kind of just without any stretching is ideal. But if you can just do 10 or 15 minutes of stuff and you're ready to go, that's perfect. So we're going to recommend doing this the night before you squat. If you squat in the morning, or if you squat at night, you can do like earlier on in the day. These stretches can be a help for you guys. Again, always pick out movements that are your kind of weak areas. So again, for me, that's ankles and hip flexors. Not so much lately, but still a little bit. But definitely ankles for me. So if you kind of just experiment with some of these mobility movements, find out which the ones are most difficult. Those are probably the ones you need to work on the most. And again, just hammer away. 10 to 15 minutes a day is all you really need. Don't spend half an hour doing mobility stuff and turn it into another workout. So that's the video, guys. Hopefully you guys liked it. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you like my information. Until next time, guys, take care.